Okay, I'm going to take that to mean we're recording now, so I guess you can start the presentation.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Alex, and I'm going to be your presenter today. And my presentation is on Scala, and it's a interesting programming language. So let's get into that. All right, so Martin Odersky created in 2001 and publicly released in 2004. It was inspired by a language called Funnel and meant to address Java's verbosity and type system limitation, and it runs on the JVM. So if you already have Java installed on your machine, that you're partially set to run Scala. So one interesting feature of Scala that I have to talk about right out the gate is that it is a combination of a object-oriented and functional language. So what that means, like if you need to do more object-oriented features, but also want to take advantage of functional programming features, you can do that in Scala, and then also vice versa. So you can blend however you see fit. It is statically typed, like I said, as its own um, system for data types, which I'll get to later. It is interoperable with Java. So if you have like a Java library that you like, you can actually import that in a Scala project and run it. And it is a uh, very concise code. Um, yeah, compared to Java. And the interesting thing about Scala version 3 onwards is that it supports Python like indentation based code blocks, and then also the end keyword for to define the end of a particular code block, like how Ruby, Lua, and Julia do, but only in certain contexts, which I'll show you in the example. So here's our like very simple hello world program. And yeah. Okay, so note about the variables. So there's two basic types of variables, val and var. Val is the equivalent of a um, uh, constant in other languages or final in Java, and the var is used for um, uh, mutable data, so you can change it. And then they have some um, built-in data types, include byte, int, long, short, float, and double. And you can actually infer data types if you set immediately. Uh, so the thing is like um nothing is a real data type, which is like how Scala one way Scala defines no value, and also null is supported too, but that's slightly different. And then unit is the Scala equivalent of void in both C and Java. And if you want to uh not return anything in a Java function, yeah, you have to use you have to define unit as the output type. All right, so if statements, I've included versions from Scala 2 and Scala 3 so you can see and yeah, Scala 2 is like more C and Java like but I would say Scala 3 is more Python like, which is like and Ruby like, which is the direction that the language is
Except
going
you
right.
have to have all that white space. That's like so many spaces are required for the indentation, or is that just a style thing?
So they have the end keyword like Ruby and Java, but only in some contexts. But other than that, you have to use like Python style indentation in Scala 3. But you can actually use still use Scala 2 style brackets in Scala 3. It's just moving forward, they're gonna try to push Scala 3 code more um to move in that direction, but it is but the older style code is still supported for backwards compatibility reasons. So I wouldn't, I'm not too sure whether or not they're gonna phase it completely out later on, but we'll see. Here's the while loop. It has so there's not that much but in the uh yeah, in the demo project which I'm gonna show later, I managed to get the um end keyword for my while loop. So the only trick of that is that you need to also add the while keyword with the end keyword. So yeah, it's thing that I thought that was annoying at first, but like now it kind of makes sense if you're looking through your code. For loop, again, pretty similar story in terms of differences.
So that indentation was less on that scale of three, or Scala 3. So it doesn't matter as long as it's indented at least one space, it works.
Y- Uh, yes, I think so. Yeah, I need to look at it because I would assume it's um yeah, you would have to treat it like similar to Python code.
Yeah, that's one of the things I don't like about Python. So okay.
Yeah, me, which is why I like the fact that they added in the end keyword and pattern matching. So if you're familiar with the switch statements, this is how they do it. So uh, X is the variable that we're examining. So match is a keyword, and so for case, and then the value. So this part is like if case if x is equal to 0, output the string 0, and then here's like a whole bunch of different values, and at the bottom last one where it's just the underscore, so case underscore is like the default behavior in case it doesn't match any of the other cases. So functions, that's how you define functions in Scala. Notice that I've put a unit right here. Um, so to make sure that like there's no return value. And all I'm doing with this function is getting a name with the value of string and then printing out hello and then plus name.
What would it look like if you were returning value, just instead of your name, would say like string or something like that? there?
Yeah, string. Yeah, I'm not sure if you've used Java before or C. Yeah, like C do like if there's C and Java both have like a void data type that you put instead of like a any data type to mean like there's no data type.
And that comma is in the right place. It's gonna say hello, comma, and then the name.
Yeah, I've put in a space right there just to make
I
sure.
was just, was wondering just in case it was like.
Yeah.
After the quote.
All right, so classes, yeah, they do have classes in this. So this is how you define a class in Scala, just like yeah, and you can override classes. Override methods and classes using the override keyword, and then adding in the method that you want to override. So yeah, we're defining a toString for points that it gets stringed properly. Okay, and then it has like a few different types of classes in addition to the normal classes. And one of them is called a case class, and um, these are immutable. And if you're familiar with records in Java, they're a lot like that. And then the interesting thing is that it compares the two instances of the same case class by using the value stored within it. So if you made a new instance of the same exact values of the old one and you compared them, a comparison will return true. And you and to define one, it's fairly straightforward. You just put case class, and then also it defaults to having like the input variables in here to what variables the class will have. So that's fairly convenient. And then another type of class that it has is called a generic class. And the interesting thing about is that it requires you to have a type as a parameter. So it's like the type um is one of the parameters. So like int, string, float. All right, so yeah, the thing about Scala is that it can get very overwhelming with like how many features the language itself has. So let's talk about some of the other things that supports. So packages. So the package system is similar to Java, at least in Scala 3. And like I said before, you can actually import Java packages into your Scala project, and it will actually run them like Scala packages, because at the end of the day, it is JVM code. So yeah, here's a few types of things. So, one of the features that was changed from Scala 2 to Scala 3 is that in order to define like all packages within a particular all items in a package, you would have to use like the underscore, but in Scala 3 you can use like the Java style snacks with that, which is with the asterisk. And yeah, and then if you just want to import a specific class, you can just say package class, just like in Java. But one of the changes from uh, Java is that you need, if you just want like a few different specific classes from a package, you need to use like brackets to like um specify that you just want those two classes and that's it. And you can also import a class as a I will say nickname. So yeah, if you just want a short name, here's how you do that with the arrow operator down here. And then SBT. It stands for Scala Build Tool, and its job is to compile Scala projects and import external packages, and it has some templates built in. So if you run SBT new, which is the command for making a new Scala project, it'll pull up a bunch of different templates you can use. Like there's one for Scala 3, the play framework. Yeah, a few different ones. And so for the frameworks and libraries, there's like a whole bunch of them that use Scala, and the notable ones include Apache Spark. And for those who don't know what that is, it's kind of like a data science, data analysis tool. And the main project is itself is actually written in Scala, but they have PySpark, which is like the Python wrapper for the Apache Spark. And like I said, the Play framework, it has like a whole there's like a whole bunch of like web app frameworks. Play framework is like the one that's like the most feature rich and complete. So this is geared for more towards like people that are going to build entire web apps in it. And then Zio, and um I don't, yeah, I've heard like just a little bit about it, and I found out it's more for making CLI based tools and making that straightforward. And last but not least, although Scala is still pretty niche, there are some big players that use it. The surprising one to me is LinkedIn, because I've been using it for a while. But also Apple, Netflix, Airbnb, and X/Twitter. Okay, that's the end of the slideshow. Before I move on to the demo, anyone have any questions before I show that?
So what's the main selling point to why you would use that? It almost looks like it makes writing Java more like writing other languages. So I don't know, maybe people who have to use Java but don't like it, but like using Python or something like C. It's like a wrapper around Java. Is that sort of right or no?
Okay, so yeah, so I would say Scala's better for big data applications since it supports a lot of the feature functional programming type data types, and people have found like functional um paradigm to be better at like big data. Yeah, there's like a language that I've heard which also funny enough is built on top of Java called Closure. And yeah, I've heard like lots of good things about. I know Cult Repo recently released their data and documentary on it, and how Scala actually is built on top of that, and why it means like Scala compiles itself to Java virtual machine bytecode, then hands it over to the Java virtual machine, and then the Java virtual machine runs it just like normal Java projects. And you can actually output jars um for those who don't work with Java. It's like your web app packaged into like one big files for like convenience. So then you can give your Java jar to the DevOps people, and then the DevOps people can just run it to like it was a Java project.
Yeah, I think I've heard of it, in a big data way, and then, when you said you were gonna give this talk, I started thinking, why didn't I include it in my big, I was doing all those language comparisons with my sample problem, and then I almost went and ran the benchmark today, and I said, I have too many things to do, I'm not gonna do it. But also, when I have the O'Reilly Scala cookbook, and I looked at that a few days ago, I didn't really see that much data science type stuff in there. So yeah. So anyway, I think because that's what I thought it was oriented to. But I guess what you're gonna show is web applications.
No, this is mostly like command line stuff just to show like the basic features of the language.
Yeah. And so another reason why I didn't go ahead and do my benchmark is because I checked to see what it would take to read Parquet files, which are Apache Spark files. And you can, if you have a Spark cluster, then you're all set. You just, it's just a read command that it talks to Spark and automatically reads in the file. But if you don't have that, which of course I don't have, then you have to get some library, and that's, yeah, whatever, you can do it, but it's just more involved. But I guess it's made to work. I mean, you have that on the list, made to work with Apache Spark. And I think that's where, like in the data science side, that's where a lot of people use it. So, for what that's worth.
One random thing I was curious about, I think you said there's a concept of nothing, but also a concept of null. Are you familiar with like what the difference is there? Because I feel like those being two different concepts isn't something I'm familiar with in other languages. So I was curious.
Yeah, I would say like uh null is, yeah, would be like something like this is like supposed to be like a value but isn't, and nothing is like I'm specifically sending you like no value whatsoever.
So null is like it is of a type, but of that type it is nothing. And nothing is just of no type.
Yeah, I wouldn't
So,
Can't think of a use
R,
case for nothing.
R has NA, which is like kind of like nothing, and it also has null. And so You would, NA would be like an individual value in a, like a data frame or something. And if you want to clear out a data frame, you set it to null. So I don't know whether that is like the same kind of thing or not, but I'm starting to think like, oh yeah, well, we have that, so anyway.
It kind of sounds like in JavaScript, there's undefined and null. Undefined is like kind of
Yeah,
almost like about to throw an error of some type because what's going on, Whereas null is definitely not, it's like defined as,
It's a good example. I guess I have heard of that. But
How does it handle inheritance? Is it the same way Java does with classes?
yeah, I would say yes, but I haven't looked into that part more deeply. I was looking mostly at the play framework.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because I'm a web developer right now, and that's what my strength is. So, all right, yeah. Okay, I need to switch over my presentation to share. Yeah, I guess where's the okay here? Yes, and just make it screen. Okay, good. All right, yeah, here's my example project that I made. Yeah, I just wanted to quickly show off some of the stuff. So here's my generic class right up here. Yeah, all it's doing just storing a value. Here's my regular class I'm using person, and then case class is right here. All right. And then here's my function that I defined, and I used the and add to specify that this is the end of the function. So if I want, so as for the guy who was asking about like what if you want to return something, I just replaced unit with int right here. And then
Now,
here's,
did you say the end was optional?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So if you want to use end optional,
You
yeah.
Stop indenting and that's the same thing?
Yes, like just like Python.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I like Ruby, so I like the use of the end keyword. All right, so here's my main function. And because you can use the at to main decorator, you can make it named whatever you want. And so here's the val and this is immutable. So knows how that like there's no like type definition because I immediately set it to 10. It automatically assumes int. So here's how you do a if else statement right here. And here's my while loop. And here's how I ended my while loop in the functionality. And then here's for loop right here. All right, now So here, we're using the, value sum and getting the output of the function add 3 and 4 and saving the output of that as the value sum. So we're putting it here just to show you. And then Alice, now down here we create a person named Alice who's 25, and we're having her greet us just like Java. And nice thing about which I forgot to mention was that there's no required semicolons, so I'm happy about that. If so Java devs will understand my pain. All right. So right here we're making 1 point and we're printing it the values out. And then now I've created a second point of the exact same values, and I'm comparing them to, so these will return true because I've put the exact same values despite them being two different instances of the point. All right, generics. So I'm making a box of type int and storing the value of 1, and I'm making another box that uses the type string, and it's storing the string Scala 3 and printing the values out here. And that's the end of the example program. Quickly run it to see where's the, I need to find where the output is. No, it's okay. It is running. I was just build. There we go. Everything compiled nicely. So it printed out 10 is greater than 3, went through the loop and errors for while and for. Some it's shown as 7, and then Alice saying hello, the point, and then see how it says like points 1 and 2 are the same question mark true. That's because the this function right here evaluated to truth because I put in the exact same values, and then we're printing out the contents of the generic classes, and that's all I have. All right, any more questions?
What were they going for with the for, that syntax after the for word, the like left pointing arrow kind of thing? And does that appear anywhere else? Like what's that supposed to look like? Like,
I guess it's casting the it's trying to like set up a list of strings like 1 through 3, and then hand over to the for loop, and like have each of the values as like as the value I in each iteration of the loop. So I'm not sure if you've worked with Python before. So yeah, in Python, it's same as like the range function if you've used Python before.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think like visually as you're looking at that, what is it supposed to be conveying? Maybe I'm just not familiar with other languages that
Like
do
an
so.
arrow, like pointing it into the variable.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
and that's the R, that's the standard R assignment
Okay.
function, for
Oh.
example. I don't know whether that's.
It looks weird
to do
with
with this.
this.
Yeah, I never, it almost looks backwards.
In R, you can almost always use equal, but there, you shouldn't because you're not cool and you might get tripped up in a very small subset of where you're not supposed to do that.
It might make more visual sense, like either look a lot as good.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
I feel like after a few days.
I
with
didn't
it,
even
it's
notice
like,
it,
okay,
right?
you know, but right now I'm
Yeah.
expecting like an equal sign.
Right,
or
right.
a double equal
Or,
or whatever,
parentheses
or a not that.
Yeah, yeah. And is there anywhere else where that left bracket dash occurs in this line?
I haven't I'm not
I think you had a less than equal sign for something else, but I think.
Yeah, because I mean, they're like your constants and so, I mean, in R, you would be using that same operator just to set
Right.
a constant, so.
Yeah. Oh,
So I don't know why, yeah, it was kind of funny that they found it that way.
Yeah, it's just a for loop. It's saying
Yeah.
I from 1 to 3.
But
Yeah.
why did they not use an equal sign?
Yeah, because like
Like arrows.
Because
I think that's like one of the every time someone tries to make a new language, they probably start with something like that, where it's like in every other language, they don't do this. So therefore, part of what I'm gonna do when I make mine is I'm gonna make it make sense in a certain way. And then I'm wondering, well, okay, well, what is it in this case? Like, where did that make more sense than in some other things? I was just wondering.
And that's
Usually
why,
they're very strong with things.
and that's also why it's nice, at least for the time being, you can give AI a program written in one language and say, write it in another,
Yeah.
and it works pretty darn well
Yeah.
most of the time.
Yeah, yeah.
And then you don't have to worry about these things too
Yeah,
much.
Yeah, well, that,
Right.
too much, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that, and my question is sort of coming from there because I can imagine, I don't know, you get something like this and then you don't understand some of it, you need to modify it, you
Yeah.
put it into an AI, it comes back out, and that's like the kind of thing that you look at and you go, well, I guess I just don't know what that does, but it works, okay, next,
Right.
and then
right.
without knowing
Yeah,
the
yeah.
underlying theory behind it,
Yeah.
it's easy to like put that in the bin of like, oh, I totally don't know it.
Right.
yeah,
It
I would
works.
say treat like the in keyword for the Python for loop. Yeah, for X in range of 1 to 10, and then your code.
It's interesting to me to see the syntax differences between version 2 and version 3. Like,
Yeah.
I'd be curious to learn more like why they're even trying to make those changes. It seems like it's a nightmare for people who've been using Scala. But I imagine maybe they're trying to just an option and they think those changes will help. But I don't know, it seems
Because they want to be like Python and have multiple versions.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like same thing happened in Python. Yeah, I remember back in like even college, I had to run some Python 2 code. So yeah, good thing about this is that Python Python Scala 2 code is still valid in Scala 3. But what's unclear to me is that whether or not like they're supporting it just to help people like move on to Scala 3 without much drama, then like later gonna say like, okay, the Scala 3 ways like the only valid now, or they're gonna continue to, I'm not, that's the part I'm not sure about. But I think, is like the reason that they did is that probably to help, readability of code, to keep track of like, where each, part ends and begins, because that can get confusing with curly braces, and sometimes like Python's indentation based system works against you. So I think this is more for like readability and help developers like um separate their code out, which is why I think they added in like the required keyword after the end keyword for this, to make sure that you understand, okay, this is the end of function so and so, or this is the end of this while loop.
Yeah, I was wondering about that too. Can you, in Scala 3, can you just temporarily drop in curly braces? Or
Yes.
you have like, okay.
Yeah, it is, Scala 2 code for a moment is still valid in Scala 3.
Yeah, I think you said you weren't sure if they were gonna maintain compatibility in future versions or not. But,
Yeah, like what
Yeah,
happened
what's
with Python 2.
any other questions for Alex?
I noticed the imports also, you could do, you could do like sub or whatever they call them in this, it's like specific imports from a
Classes.
different file. Yeah, like, but there's also like a build step. So does it automatically do, I don't know what the term is in this language, is it tree shaking, but that kind of thing, does it automatically know if you like import, if you don't import a specific class, you just import an entire library, but in whatever document you're in, you just uses one of the many functions from that library? Does it automatically just, parse it, because it's built, there's a build step, so does it, like, sorry, this is a horrible question. Like, is it automatically figured out, like, what's the purpose of just, pulling in just a single function if it's gonna do the tree shaking or whatever? But man, that's a very poorly worded question.
Yeah,
So
it's,
what you're saying is, so like some languages like Perl, and maybe even was way doing it hard, you can like load a package and say, I only need these functions.
Right.
And then it's faster.
Right, it's definitely, probably definitely
It's
faster
to
to
load,
work.
faster to start.
Right, but once you do the build step, if you like, if it like in other languages, I guess, if you imported the entire language without worrying about which particular functions you want, and then in your application you only used, let's say, 2 of the 50 functions or whatever, during the build step, it automatically only bundled the 2 functions that you used and not the other 48. That's usually what would happen in like build step. I'm just wondering if, I mean, every language has a version of this where you can go fine grain. I'm just wondering, like, what are the performance?
yeah,
reasons
and
for it?
there's also the thing that like in some more like sensitive industries, like banks is like the one everyone knows, but also like government, like they only want you to import only the libraries you need. So yeah, I think importing everything is good for if you're trying to get the project off the ground, but like importing specific packages does speed up your build time, and
It
also
also keeps that jar file.
yes.
There's also the issue where, multiple packages might have overlapping
Namespace,
namespaces that conflict, and you don't find that out until the hard way.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's like a lot of things that like don't make sense if you're just starting out in software development, but then like when you understand issues, yeah, now you see the reason for why this projects exist, or why this feature exists.
Do you happen to look at any like trends over time of popularity of Scala? Curious if, I don't know, it's been kind of steady state, or if it's increasing, or if it's peaked a while ago and it's kind of more just steady.
Yeah, from what I've heard, like it's still kind of niche with like a just like a slight decrease. But yeah, it's I feel that like this is like good for um the niche that like it's made for. But other than that, like most developers choose something else. And which is like a shame. Yeah, because like one of the other projects that and Play actually uses it it's their old version was called Akka server, but the new version is called like Peko server, and it's like a HTTP server that Play uses to run itself, and it builds on the actor model, which I really like because of like how robust and fault tolerant is this. So yeah, I if I could like have my way, I'd do like a project in Scala, simply for that alone.
The play framework.
Yeah,
What is the Play framework? It's like a web framework for making games, or
web framework. Yeah, it's doesn't really have anything to do with games. It's just like a framework for making web apps. Yeah, it's more closer to like Spring Boot in Java. In terms of like feature set, and yeah, I think there's like, some more minimalist ones that are more like Express JS and JavaScript. Um yeah, so you do have like your pick, but yeah, I think what they say is like if you want like whole bunch of features and um Play framework is like the way to go.
Well, thanks a lot, Alex.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
presentation?
Thank you. Also, yeah, I run the Hampton Roads Java users group, so come to this social next week. It's on Meetup, and also there's like the RVA Sec conference going on next month. So if you have any questions about either of those, you can see me. But other than that, have a good day.
I'd like to go over a little bit of our upcoming schedule. I sent out an email about this. We're getting free passes for the AI Dev Summit that's being held online. It's in conjunction with the one that's in New York, but this will be only virtual, so you can watch it from home. I have a placeholder in Meetup for that. When I have more information, I'll send out an update. There's no agenda or schedule yet, but it's June 4th and June 5th. So if you're at all interested, put that on your calendars. And when we have the passes available, when we have an agenda, I'll send that out. Next month, June 10th, we're going to have another social event at the restaurant to be named. But everyone is welcome. The next technical talk is going to be July 8th. Kelly Shaw is going to talk about AI programming versus human programmers. And she's had that on her plate for a while, and the industry has evolved a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what her current take is. Other than that, we're still looking for speakers for September and November. So anybody that has a topic they'd like to talk about, just let me know. And other than that, thanks for coming, everybody.
I'm Jeff, by the way. I don't think we-
I'm Jason through the